By now, nearly everyone has used a search engine such as Google. In fact, Google has often been used as the place to go for getting answers. But times change. More and more people are relying upon GenAI tools such as ChatGPT or Copilot or Gemini to find their answers. So what is the difference between Google and GenAI? Fundamentally, both tools provide information. Google is a search engine that sifts through huge amounts of information based on the keywords used and provides links to materials. It is up to you to read those materials to find your answer. In contrast, GenAI trains on massive data sets to understand the context of your query. Here is where the big difference becomes apparent. GenAI generates content by synthesizing information into something new, while search engines like Google retrieve links. Recap: GenAI generates, search engines retrieve. GenAI such as ChatGPT can generate impressive, coherent, seemingly knowledgeable, and contextually relevant responses. This, as Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, noted, can create an illusion of greatness or comprehensive understanding. Currently, however, AI is not sentient or alive and lacks true comprehension. Its responses are merely educated guesses that it generates one word at a time, based on patterns learned from its training data. On December 11, 2022, Sam Altman stated, ChatGPT is incredibly limited, but good enough at some things to create a misleading impression of greatness. End quote. This statement coming from a GenAI expert draws attention to how easy it can be to place our trust in GenAI. Let's look at some key terms to get started. We'll start with the basics and work up. AI model, a computer program or algorithm that processes data and makes predictions or generates content based on its learning from training data. Language model, an AI model specifically designed to process and generate human language, often used for tasks like text generation and understanding. Large language model, a specific category of language models that are trained on massive amounts of data and have a substantial number of parameters and weights in their neural networks. Generative AI or GenAI, a branch of artificial intelligence that focuses on training models to generate new data or content that resembles existing data. AI bias, the presence of unfair or unjustified assumptions in AI models can lead to biased outcomes or perpetuate existing biases in the training data. Knowing that GenAI generates, let's take a look at some applications. GenAI can be applied in different ways. The most common applications are text-based GenAI, image-based GenAI, and software code generators. Text-based GenAI utilizes natural language processing to generate text, enabling it to produce creative writing, dialogue, and even news articles. On the other hand, image-based GenAI leverages computer vision to generate images, artwork, and even realistic faces. Code generators are an application of GenAI that can automate software development tasks, making them powerful tools for data analysis and processing. Additional GenAI applications include video-based, which produces video content, audio-based, which produces audio content, and data analysis applications, which analyze and process data. GenAI has a few characteristics. It is predictive and uses pattern recognition. Models are trained on massive data sets, primarily large language models, to understand the structure, context, and relationships of data. Another characteristic of GenAI is that its technology produces entirely new, statistically unique outputs rather than simply retrieving or reclassifying existing data. Finally, GenAI is driven by prompts. Users interact with GenAI primarily through natural language commands or inputs, guiding the model on what to create. We'll look at creative effective prompts later in the workshop. Large language models constitute remarkable technological progress in natural language understanding and generation, but it's crucial to understand and remember that they come with certain limitations. These limitations not only define the boundaries of their capabilities, but also highlight the challenges that arise when bridging the gap between artificial intelligence and human understanding and cognition. So let's take a look at what GenAI is not. GenAI is not human. GenAI is a powerful conversational AI tool that can generate meaningful text and converse with users in a way that mimics natural conversation, but it is not human. GenAI does not understand things like humans do. It lacks common sense and is unable to express emotions. GenAI is not magic. GenAI tools use mechanistic algorithms that generate responses to user-provided input using massive amounts of training data and powerful neural networks. They do so quickly and often quite accurately, and even at times seemingly with a voice, but that doesn't mean their output is not mechanical. GenAI is not uniformly intelligent. GenAI tools do not understand things the way we humans do. They make very well-informed algorithmic guesses and provide plausible responses one word at a time. While large language models can recall, parse, generate, translate, understand, etc., they are synthetic with no subconscious. GenAI is not infallible. GenAI in its current stage can sometimes hallucinate by producing information that sounds plausible but is inaccurate or entirely false. These models lack a true understanding of what is factual. They are designed to generate responses that seem most likely based on patterns in their training data, even when there is insufficient real-world evidence to support them. GenAI is not impartial. Bias can creep into GenAI in many different ways. For instance, GenAI tools are designed to output the most likely or most common results possible based on their data, so they suppress less common or marginalized information. Their training models are made up of human-generated data, which carries human bias, and are made up of data that covers decades and centuries of history, which means there may be a loss of context for current social changes. For these reasons and others which we will explore later, GenAI should generally not be used for decision-making on sensitive or ethical matters. Additionally, note that large language models are currently heavily biased towards standard American English. This means that writing styles and dialects adopted by other cultures or ethnic groups may not be accounted for in the algorithm and responses. GenAI is not research. Research involves a systematic and thorough investigation of a topic using reliable and diverse sources of information. It involves gathering, analyzing, and interpreting data to draw conclusions or create new knowledge. GenAI, on the other hand, generates responses based on patterns it has learned from its training data. It is useful for brainstorming ideas, drafting content, or engaging in casual conversations. Still, its outputs shouldn't be confused with original insights or comprehensive analysis, no matter how authoritative they may seem. On the plus side, GenAI is efficient. GenAI can accelerate tasks such as brainstorming or outlining, even creating a timeline of benchmarks to hit for an assignment. It can rapidly create content in response to prompts. GenAI is creative. GenAI tools create new content from existing information. GenAI is individualized. Because you control the scope of the prompt, the content supplied by GenAI is individualized for each user and each query. GenAI is accessible. GenAI tools break down linguistic divides for non-native English speakers. They also provide built-in support like text-to-speech, translation, and vocabulary help for students with learning differences. GenAI is available 24/7. GenAI acts as an on-demand tutor, simplifying complex topics, generating practice quizzes, and explaining concepts at a pace suited to the individual student. GenAI is a complement to learning, not a replacement. When we discuss prompt creation, we'll look at some ways to keep GenAI in the role as an assistant to your learning rather than letting it take control. As useful as GenAI can be, remember it is extremely important that you as a student read the syllabus carefully as well as the instructions for each assignment to see to what extent, if any, you can use GenAI. In the next section, we will examine how to use GenAI responsibly. For now, to access the quiz, select Next.